Welcome, and thank you for standing by. At this time, all participants have been placed on a listen-only mode. To ask a question at any time during today's conference, please press star followed by 1 on your touch-tone phone. Today's conference is being recorded. If you have any objections, please disconnect at this time. I would now like to turn the conference over to Janice Wingo with the International Trade Administration. You may begin.
Thank you, and welcome to today's webinar. This is part of the China IP webinar series. But there's actually two parts to this webinar. Today's part will be with attorney advisor Elena Van Horn. She works for Customs and Border Protection, and she's going to explain to us how to record your IP with U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Then there will be the complimentary webinar to this webinar, which will be on April 9th, and then we will have an Italian attorney who works in China, and he will explain to you how you can record your Chinese IPR with Chinese customs. But first, let's go to Elena. Just to give you a little bit of background about Elena, she is an attorney advisor with Customs and Border Protection here in Washington, D.C. She has her JD degree from Catholic University and an LLM from George Washington University. She also has a couple of international certificates, one of which is in International Negotiation and Mediation from Humboldt University in Berlin. And she also has another certificate, International Business, from a Polish university called Jagiellonian in Krakow. Ms. Van Horn has a lot of experience on recordation, working with CBD, and she said that she would be happy to receive questions in the middle of her presentation. So just as the operator said, if you have a question, dial in, and she'll be happy to answer them. There will be questions and answers at the end. And also Ms. Van Horn's email address will be at the end, so you can email her directly if you have other questions. But other than that, Elena, you're on.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Again, my name is Elena Van Horn. Within CBP, I work in the Office of International Trade in the Intellectual Property Rights branch. So here I'm just going to go over a brief overview of our authorities before I get into specifically how you can record your IP with us. First, oh, this went too fast. One second. Okay. CBP has the legal authority to detain, seize, forfeit, and destroy IPR infringing goods with respect to trademarks and copyrights. This is due to Customs having ex officio authority, meaning that we are the competent authority to make infringement determinations. This is very unique compared to other countries who usually require some sort of judicial order in order to take action against the merchandise. Here at CBP, we do not. It's a great power. So our registration and recordation system, we have a two-tier protection system. As you know, registration relates to the act of filing a trademark with the USPTO or a copyright with the U.S. Copyright Office for a federal registration. Recordation refers to the act of bringing this registration to Customs and Border Protection, particularly to the IPR branch here at headquarters where I work, in order to protect against the importation of infringing goods. The distinction between registration and recordation is that seizure is not always possible under our U.S. laws for goods that violate unrecorded rights. More on the importance of recordation. As I said, the legal authorities for detaining, seizing, and forfeiting merchandise are different depending on whether the trademark or copyright is recorded with CBP. Recorded trademarks and copyrights are afforded more protection than those that are unrecorded. Increased CBP enforcement is also another benefit. It's our policy to focus our resources on the enforcement of recorded rights. And recording your mark will also grant you greater scope of protection against confusingly similar marks and the use of the related goods doctrine. Enforcement is in rem and not in personam, meaning that the action is taken against the goods themselves and not the individual. Accordingly, for recorded rights, intent does not need to be established in order to find a violation. Another benefit is that right holders are then notified of information regarding the importer, exporter, and foreign manufacturer of infringing merchandise, and also penalties may be assessed against importers as a deterrent to future violations. We have three main electronic databases, and they are all administered by the IPR branch in Regulations and Rulings Office of International Trade. Again, this is my office where I'm currently calling from. Our telephone number and fax number is below. The first email address is for any general questions you might have, hqiprBranch@dhs.gov. And specifically, if you have any questions about our recordation system, the contact that you should use is IPRR.questions@dhs.gov. So here is an outline of our systems. First, all of the right holders' information is collected in something called IPRR. That's listed as System 1 up top, the Intellectual Property Rights e-Recordation System. We asked the importer to put in more information in this application than they have previously disclosed to either the USPTO or to the U.S. Copyright Office. We use this extra information only in our internal website for law enforcement purposes. This is IPRIS, the Intellectual Property Rights internal search. Such information, we'll go over this in a few slides, such as licensees, country of manufacturer, any type of law enforcement information that would help customs protect that right will be found in IPRIS. Then third, we have a public system. IPRS, Intellectual Property Rights Search, is a publicly searchable database by which the public can see what rights have been recorded with CBP. This only discloses a much smaller set of information than does IPRIS. And you'll see a screenshot of that in a second. So what happened, this is the recordation process. The right holder enters their information into the electronic form. It's in IPRR. Like I said, law enforcement sensitive information is only made available to CBP personnel. And we use this information to monitor shipments and to prevent importation and exportation of infringing goods. Only some of the information provided in IPRR is made available to the public in the searchable database online, which is IPRS. Here is the link to how you would start your application with CBP to record your trademark or copyright. Here also, if you go to the public site, cbp.gov, if you clicked on Trade and then clicked on Protect Your IPR by recording your trademark and copyright, where the arrow points, it will take you to this screen, which links directly to the IPRR, the Intellectual Property Rights e-Recordation System. Here's a screenshot of the opening. It'll give you a little bit of information about what you're about to enter into the database, and also it will supply you with links to the regulations for your review. Once you enter this database, you'll be able to choose either trademark or copyright. Any number that you put in here is we're going to have to receive a positive response from either the USPTO or the U.S. Copyright Office that a registration of that number actually exists. Once an existing registration number is put in here, and in this screen, the top blue arrow is pointing to what was entered, the rest of this information that you see has been automatically populated. And it's been automatically populated by the information found on the USPTO.gov website, which is publicly available. So the right holder does not need to enter this information again. However, we will ask you additional questions here. We'll ask for a little bit more contact detail regarding the right holder and the point of contact, or maybe even the attorney of record. Once more, we'll ask for the specific class of goods. The class of goods from the USPTO registration does not transfer over directly to the recordation. So you need to make sure that however many class of goods that you want recorded is absolutely stated in this application. And I'll tell you a little bit more about why that's so important later. After this, we ask you to upload images. If it's of your trademark, we would like basically to see just an enlargement of what appears on the USPTO registration certificate, and maybe even how your mark appears on goods in merchandise. For copyright, we ask that you upload at least 5 images of that either design, visual work, or audio-visual work, and that if it is a sound recording, that it's adequately described. Here just shows you how you upload your images. Then payment. At the end, it's $190 per class of goods to record for customs. So if you have a trademark and you would like to record it for 2 classes, then you would have to pay $190 plus $190, so $380. For copyright, since there is no class of goods, it's just a flat fee of $190. The benefits of this system is that it eliminates the paper application, and a copy of the certificate actually issued by the registering agency is no longer required to be produced. However, you must hold on to this piece of paper for up to 6 months. You can make payment by credit card, check, or money order. You're also the ability to upload images of the protected work or trademark helps CBP enforce your mark by eliminating the need to send us samples. This also reduces the time from filing an application to actual enforcement by field personnel. IPRR is used only for quote-unquote new recordations. If a recordation has already been recorded in the past and it needs to be renewed, you should do this via email, and here is the email link. And as I stated earlier, since we do not require the physical paper of the underlying registration, we just ask that you retain a certificate and be prepared to provide it upon request. Any questions up to this point?
Thank you. As a reminder, if you would like to ask a question, please press *1.
I'm not seeing any questions in the Q&A either, so I'll just proceed with this portion. So System 2, this is the internal search system that collects all of the data that was put into IPRR. It is only searchable by CBP personnel with a need to know, and this also extends countrywide. Here's a screenshot of what the internal system looks like. It's similar to the public system, except if you see at the top right, in purple, it says Product ID Manuals. That is another enforcement tool that we use with the online recordation system, in that the right holder can upload an identification guide, which it could explain how to check for adequate logos, how to authenticate merchandise through product numbers, or examples of just visual inspection. This helps the field greatly. This is if I selected one of these recordations in IPRIS, I have deleted the information that could be potentially sensitive here. But as you can see, the name will be shown, the product, the class of goods, owner name, contact information, licensee information, sometimes even the manufacturer information will be listed, and the country of manufacture. And here you can see Sharpie has uploaded 2 of their images of their marks. That arrow, the top arrow, also points to something called gray market importations. It's possible to get gray market protection here with CBP. If you do so, it would be indicated here in the IPRIS system.
Elena, could you just stop a little bit and explain about gray market protection to the listeners?
Oh, sure. So gray market protection is something that you can apply for with us. And I'm looking for the applicable regulation right now. It's 133.23. What the gray market articles are foreign-made articles that they bear a genuine trademark or trade name that's identical with or substantially indistinguishable from one owned and recorded by a citizen of the United States or a corporation, and it's imported without the authorization of the U.S. owner. So restricted gray market goods, you can apply for this to us through 133.23, and it'll list the information that is required in that regulation for you to put forward to CBP. And any other questions on that? No questions? Oh, wait, I see one in Q&A. Okay, no, nothing written yet, so I'll keep going forward.
Elena, I can ask the question someone had emailed in. Do
Sure.
gray market goods under CBP protection include re-imported goods?
Do they include I believe that would fall, that would still, if it's very rare for a trademark to receive gray market protection because of usually there's some sort of business relationship between the two companies. The two companies have to actually be separate in order to get gray market protection. So as long as those four elements that I stated before, that the article's foreign made, that it bears a genuine trademark, and that this trademark is identical or substantially indistinguishable from one owned by an owner in the United States, and it's imported without the authorization of that owner, then it can be eligible for gray market protection. So let's say a gray market article enters the United States and you're asking if it's then re-exported.
I think that's what the listener is asking.
Okay, well, if that merchandise bears a mark that does not have gray market protection, nothing will happen. If it does have gray market protection, I believe it still would be subject to seizure.
If the listener has any additional questions on that, Elena has generously said that she would answer such questions on email address, and her email is at the end of the presentation if you'd like to follow up on that issue with her.
Okay, thank you. Yes, there's a lot of questions that go along with gray market protection, how to apply for it, what does it mean, et cetera. So I hope you follow up with me. So back to this slide that we're looking at. This arrow is just pointing to where you can find the product ID manuals. And this is just a list of what we have received so far. So, for example, Adidas has provided us with a product guide, Adobe, American Eagle. And I can't show you the contents of these guides, but basically they just contain clues for authenticating genuine merchandise. And they also offer contact names in order to find updated lists of licensees and any other importers that are authorized to import their merchandise. A sample of this product ID guide is available at this link. It'll show you exactly what we expect in the guide. And if you're recorded with us, it's not a requirement, but you can definitely file one with us. And I believe that strongly that it helps enforcement efforts. So this is the third system, the public database. IPRS, it's located on cbp.gov, so accessible by anyone. This is a screenshot of the administrative interface here. Keyword, I just put in Nike, common mark. Wherever the word Nike gets a hit, that recordation will come up. Here I pulled up one, As you can see, the difference between the internal system and this public system is that there's no images associated here. There's no images of the mark, and there would be no images of the copyright. All that is stated in the public system is the CBP trademark number, the title, the products for which that mark is registered and recorded, the owner, and then briefly just the contact name of the representative. So we have another system in order to help enforcement efforts at the border. It's called e-allegations. This is an online system to report illegal import and export activity. E-allegations can be filed by both CBP employees and any member of the public. You will get a confirmation email back. Let me just go ahead and show you the link to that. This slide isn't advancing.
This is Wendy. Are you wanting to go on? Oh.
Okay, there, good. No, my computer is having connection problems. I apologize. Just to get back where we were. Okay. Is everybody with me online?
Yes, we're now viewing slide 38.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I apologize for that. This computer is extremely slow and was not advancing. So this e-allegation system, it's used to report illegal trade activity, anything from quota circumvention, misclassification, intellectual property rights infringement, and health and safety issues. Here is the link. It's on cbp.gov. Once you submit an e-allegation, it will be sorted into the different categories and forwarded to the appropriate authority. Here is the submission page. Report trade violations, and it will ask information, your name, contact number, violation description. Even if you know specific information, such as who the violator is, you may put that in. So as we realize, both the government and industry has a vested interest in protecting intellectual property rights. The government wants to protect revenue, health, and safety of its citizens, and the industry also would like their brand protected as well as their market share. So we require your participation in order to have an effective border enforcement program. You are responsible for notifying us if there's a change in ownership or a change in name of the owner on your recordation. You're also responsible for renewing your recordation. Recordations are good for 20 years, and there was a link earlier on in the slideshow where you can renew your application. Right holders are responsible for updating the contact information in their recordation, and they're also responsible for updating the class of goods, licensees, and countries of manufacture in their recordation. Any questions?
As a reminder, to ask an audio question, please press star followed by 1 on your touch-tone phone. I'm currently showing no questions.
Okay. Let me just click then to my contact information. Feel free to contact me if you have a question about anything that I've discussed or anything else regarding the recordation process with Customs and Border Protection.
Thank you, Elena.
Oh, you're welcome.
I have a question while we're waiting for listeners to ask a question. You mentioned that this is only for trademarks and copyrights that have been registered with U.S. Copyright Office or U.S. Patent and Trademark Office.
Correct.
What happens if you have a patent?
Well, Customs and Border Protection does not have independent authority to enforce patents. The only way we do so is through exclusion orders issued by the International Trade Commission. and exclusion orders are issued for violation of Section 337 of the Tariff Act. So once an order is handed down from the ITC, Customs will put out a trade advisory, and goods subject to that order will be excluded.
Okay. Just to let the listeners know, that's the third part of our presentation. We do have a patent attorney up in Boston who will be giving a presentation on how to apply for a 337 order.
Oh, great. Great.
So along with Elena talking about CBP recorded today, we also, like I said, on April 9th, we have a presentation. It's at 9:30 in the morning in Eastern on how to record with Chinese customs. And then later in the month, we'll have a presentation on exclusion orders.
Oh, I see some questions now. Let's see. Okay. I have a question from someone asking, what is involved in updating licensee lists, et cetera? Is there a fee or simply a submission of data? There is not a fee for updating licensee lists or country of manufacturer. You can do so at any time by using that email address that starts IPRR. We have 2 members of our staff that are devoted exclusively to administrating the IPRR system and keeping it up to date. Another question, is there any alert companies receive from the PTO when they go there to also go to CBP? Good question. We have tried to work with the USPTO to get a link on the page you receive when you successfully register that says, if you would like increased protection, here is the link to CBP recordation. At this point, we do not have such a link available, but we are still working on it. So the answer to that is no. Currently, companies are not alerted from the PTO that they need to record with CBP. And I think that's all I have here.
And I'm currently showing no audio questions.
Okay. Okay, yeah, and so there's no more questions that were submitted via email.
However, for anybody who's listening to the audio recording of this, Ms. Van Horn said that she would be happy to take questions, and you can reach her at her email address, which is on the slide shown, or call her at our office at Customs and Border Protection on 9th Street. I'd also like to remind the listeners that this audio recording will be closed captioned and then later uploaded to our stopfakes.gov website, the new revised website. We're revising the website, and soon all the webinars will be closed captioned so everyone can view them. However, I will also post a copy of Ms. Van Horn's slides on the website before we get the closed captioning done. That way anyone can look at her slides and then contact her if they have additional questions. Well, if there are no other questions, I want to thank Elena Van Horn, who's the attorney advisor with Customs and Border Protection, on explaining to us how we can record our copyrights and trademarks with CBP. And I look forward to your participation. Oh, there's another question.
Okay, I see it.
Someone asked, will slides from previous presentations be available on the website? Actually, that depends on the person who created those slides. Ms. Van Horn said she'd be happy to put her slides up there. Other presenters said that they're not happy to put their slides up there. So it depends on the presenter by presenter. You can always contact the presenter and ask that presenter for slides, and he can choose to send them to you or not. But with the FTP recorder, you can view the slides and hear the audio at the same time. Elena, again, I want to thank you for taking your time to do this presentation.
Sure. I hope everything was clear. If not, like I said, feel free to contact me.
Okay, thank you again, and we look forward to having all the listeners tune in again on April 9th at 9:30 Eastern.
Okay.
Thank you. This does conclude today's conference. Thank you for participating. You may disconnect at this time.